Man, I love Emma O'Brien. She is just a fantastic woman, a fantastic being on the planet. And I'm so grateful to the podcast for bringing her into my life.
Yeah, so the discussion is gratitude. Anyone who's listening who maybe needs some ideas about what they're going to bring into the new year, this would be the perfect podcast for them. We talked about the 4 A's of gratitude, maybe 6 A's we came up with.
That's right.
Some stages of gratitude. So everybody listen up, and this will help you to start your 2025.
Yeah, gratitude is magic. So yeah, practice it.
The world is a lot right now. Are you feeling it? We all need new tools to help us walk through the chaos with grace, ease, and compassion for each other and for ourselves. In this podcast, you'll hear from parents, educators, and other experts who can bring perspective to the monumental job of parenting. It's time to level up and be warriors for our kids and our communities. This is the Warrior Parent Podcast. I'm Marci Mitchell.
And I'm Debbie DiManno. As parents, we understand that it really does take a village to raise our kids. We hope that this podcast serves to create and support that community for you. Join us as we discuss and practice our core tools, which are proven mind-body techniques that can be used by anyone to improve your life on a daily basis.
Welcome back to the Warrior Parent Podcast. We're glad you're joining us for this final episode of 2024. So we are so grateful today that we have our good friend, Emma O'Brien, on the podcast today. And she is a certified heart math coach and a Martha Beck Wayfinder trained life coach. She blends compassionate, intuitive, and practical coaching skills with her extensive expertise in helping her clients shift their mindset and change their lives for the better. She helps folks get unstuck, recover from life burnout, overcome overwhelm, and reignite their passion and purpose. Alongside her coaching practice, Emma brings 2 decades of entrepreneurial expertise to the table. She's an award-winning dog photographer, and having run a successful photography studio in both the UK and South Africa, she's adept at helping her clients with small business marketing and strategy. Emma hosts the Lemons and Pineapples podcast, a weekly show where she shares her life hacks, coaching tools, and inspiring, insightful guest interviews. And Emma has been a good friend of the Warrior Parent podcast, and me and Deb, we're so grateful to have you back, Emma.
Thank you very much. I was thrilled to crack another invite back onto the podcast.
Wow. So it has been a year. I'm just going to say, as we're trying to wrap this whole thing up, we have had so many highs and lows for 2024. Quite frankly, I'm a little bit ready for it to be over. But meanwhile, I continue to have gratitude for Marci and the year that we've had, and for Emma participating with us. And as you all know, Marci and I have created an app. And Emma has agreed throughout this busy year for her to participate in the app. So I want to encourage all of you to check out the app. We'll tell you more about that in a little bit. But today we're gonna talk about gratitude, and I think no one more perfect than Emma to have this discussion with. So Emma, give us some tips and tricks around having some gratitude for this full-on crazy year.
Yeah, the gratitude for 2024. I think it's interesting because we've got holiday times. I was just talking on my latest podcast episode about how to have some harmony during the holidays. And I think it's a time where often we're thrown together with a lot of family, and a lot of family together can be very triggering. And it's an interesting topic to start to have a look on, because I think being in a state of gratitude shifts you into an awareness of what's good in life and what you're appreciative of. And I think especially if you're a bit frazzled and you're a bit tired and things have been difficult, it's a great question to reflect on if we come back to 2024 as a year, which I think collectively it's been a hard year. is to ask yourself the question, what went well this year, and
Yes.
what am I grateful for? I think often when we've got obstacles and when we've got things that haven't gone according to plan, often it's a redirect. And I think if you can reframe difficult things and have a look at, okay, what's the learning in here, even if it's through gritted teeth, because you're thinking, wow, could have done without all 25 learnings, but where has it nudged me to, and what opportunity has it created? And I think gratitude does that. It rewires your brain to look for what's gone well when we live in a world that's wired to look at what's bad.
Yes.
Yeah. I love how what you said at the beginning when you were talking about gratitude shifts. And this is such an important point if people can find this, because you can be in it and all this stuff. And if you can make that shift to gratitude, if you can switch your focus, it does change everything. It is a magical tool that is right here for all of us to use. But we have to start practicing it. We have to make it a go-to. And that's the part that's not easy. Once you're practicing it, you'll be amazed at how it transforms everything. The situation, your life, your physical state, your calming of your nervous system, your emotional state, bringing back joy, going from to
What was that? Yeah, I know. But it does, what Emma said is true. So it does do a rewire, or you can do a rewire using gratitude as a tool per se, right? Because it does release dopamine and serotonin, which are your happy chemicals, right? So talk about how, we're talking about consistency. Marci's just talking about like how you be consistent. So how would someone do a rewire using gratitude? Like what some practices be?
I think a really simple one for people, and I think this is great for adults, and it's also great to incorporate it into a family environment, is to finish each day and think about, what are 3 things that happened today that I'm deeply grateful for?
Yes.
And you can do that as an individual. I think having a gratitude journal is really great, because it starts to, over time, it starts to get you to search for what went well. Like I said, we all know we're negatively biased as humans. We're surrounded by media that pulls us to be negative. Depending on who your circle of people are, it's really not difficult to find negative people who would want to complain.
Yeah.
And it does take quite a conscious effort to shift out of that mindset. And I think gratitude, like Marci touched on, is a great mood shifter. But if you're feeling really fed up, it's quite difficult to reach for gratitude. So you almost have to remind yourself, all right, I've got a moment. I need to, what can I be grateful for?
Yeah.
And it might be that, something as simple as you get to wake up in a warm bed. You guys are in the middle of winter, and it might be as simple as that. And then it might be, well, I got to have a hot shower, and I got some time to sit with my kids having a coffee before they went to school. It's little things. It's, because often we think, oh, I must be really grateful for something huge. And then you're waiting for something huge. It's look for the little things. And I think collectively as a family, as parents, we lead our children by example. And if you can start to have an attitude of gratitude in your household, so whether over dinner, everybody shares 3 things they're grateful for that happened in the day, even if they had a tough day, whether you have a family gratitude jar that somebody writes on and pops it in at the end of every day, and then you open it at the end of the year. I mean, that's super cool. It's something I've always thought that would be really cool to do, and I've never done it. But can you imagine tipping it out and opening and looking at all the things that went well over the course of a year? And I think it's just when you get into the habit, it's a habit. When you get into the habit of it, it rewires how you move through the world. And you talked as well about the nervous system piece. So the previous episode I was on, we talked about heart math, and I know on the app I've shared a couple of heart math techniques.
Yes.
One of the techniques with heart math, which is quick coherence, is getting is slowing your breathing and getting yourself calmed down, and then consciously thinking about a positive emotion. And gratitude is one of the easiest ones to reach for, because you can literally make a list and start to feel into it. And it shifts how you move through the world. It shifts how you show up. And we know when you calm your nervous system down, times when life is stressful and frenetic, over the holidays, when you've got lots of family, it's easier to keep yourself calm when you're in a relaxed, more relaxed state.
Right. I always talk about the wheel. Like if you're, you know, life is life and all this stuff's going on, but if you're in the outside of the wheel, you're just getting flung around and you're hanging on and your feet are flying in the breeze. But if you can get yourself to the center, all that is still going around you, but you found this place of gratitude, of quiet, of regulation in your body, your mind. And that's huge. And then also the other thing I want to point out or emphasize that you said is the small things, because those are the things that it's the things that happen every day that can either completely throw you back out on the outside of the wheel, or that can really bring you that gratitude of simple things like a nice cup of coffee in front of the fire when it's cold, or outside with your feet in the water when it's hot, for our folks who are in summer now, whatever. Those simple things done on a regular basis are everything. They just shift the joy and the tenor of your life.
Yeah,
I
100%.
was doing a little research around this, right? And they were talking about like 3 stages of gratitude, and like I don't want to complicate this thing, but because it seems like, oh, I just be thankful, right? But there are like pieces of this. So in order to, because some people like, oh well, just negative, like I have nothing to be grateful for, and like how do I even begin to do this, right? So first is just the acknowledgement. Right. So just acknowledging what it is that you might be grateful for. And for some people, they might really have to dig. Like you were mentioning some of the simple things, but some people might really have to dig, especially if they're in this really, really, really difficult, dark place. And then number 2 is then expressing the gratitude, right? So find a way to do that, right? Maybe, Marci and I talked about this a couple weeks ago, just maybe you're just writing a letter or the journal, as we talk about so often. So, or maybe it's just a phone call. You're just picking up the phone and just calling someone and saying, I just wanted to tell you I'm grateful for you. Right. That's it. Like, doesn't have to be anything. That's all it is. And then the last part, which we talked about, is the integration, right? So like you talked about, how do we start integrating this? I feel like this is so important, especially into your families, right? So it's one thing if you're you got your own thing you're doing, so you're modeling for your children. Wow, like mom's always so grateful for this stuff. So modeling is one thing, but to start the practice for them, so then it becomes a lifelong thing for them. And imagine how we can change generations of humans by just doing this thing, this little thing, right? But it may not, for us, Marci and I, Emma, we've been probably practicing this for a long, long time, right? Comes off easy. Like, our kids are probably like, oh, there she goes again. But for some people, it's not that easy, right? I don't think it is, right?
No. And I think if you're, like we touched on, if you're wired for complaining and you're wired for looking at what's wrong, and sometimes looking at what's wrong is a great motivator for change. But I think often if you're not careful, you can end up constantly unhappy where you are because you're striving to be somewhere else all the time. And I think, as Marci touched on it, to say that actually life happens in the everyday moments. And if you're not able to be present and appreciative in the moment when you're having a conversation with somebody, or when you're spending time with kids because you're constantly wanting to be further along, you can't enjoy life, and you don't show up as your best self at all. And I think it comes back to gratitude as a great way of bringing yourself back into the present moment, which really, at the risk of sounding like Yoda, it's the only place we ever are.
That's right. It's the only place you can choose. It's the only place you can make a difference is right now. You can complain about the past, you can worry about the future, but right now you can be a choice. You can do the thing in this moment.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think two of the most powerful words for kind of cultivating good relationships with people are thank you. Like Debbie said, phoning
Yes.
somebody. Here's me. I was like, I'll just WhatsApp them a message. But whether you phone them, whether you WhatsApp them, whether you send them a gift, however what your love language is just to
Yeah.
sometimes say thank you to people. Thank you. I appreciate you. Can
Yes.
go so far. Even
Right.
the server at Starbucks. If
Yes.
you really for a moment see somebody and thank them, it can
Mhm.
make someone's day when people feel appreciated. And I think it's gratitude for what we have, and I think it's gratitude for each other and actually expressing that as well.
Hey, we just wanted to take a quick moment to tell you about something very exciting that Debbie and I and our team have been working on for literally years. And that is our Core Tools app, which is now available at the Google Play Store and at the Apple Store. And you can sign up for it now, and you will get access to all the tools we've been talking about on the podcast.
And if you're an early adopter of Core Tools, you can get a VIP price for $49 for a lifetime. That's
Lifetime.
right.
Buy it once, and we'll keep
Lifetime.
updating it too.
Yes. So we're super excited about this. Go to Apple Store, go to Google Play, and purchase it now.
Core Tools, COUR, capital TOOLS.
Go get it.
Yeah, and then we've got that butterfly effect, that ripple effect, because now you've gone to gratitude. So now you're changing your chemistry in your body, literally, and changing your emotional space. But now because you've shared it and you've looked someone in the eye and said, thank you, you're doing a great job today, or God, you really made my day. You've just shifted their chemistry and lifted them, and now they can go out and share that. And it's the same thing with the complaining. It's not to judge people, not to make you feel bad for this, but it is easy to get into that, like you said, being around other people who are doing it, and now you're going down, down, down. What if you make a conscious choice and say, yeah, that's tough, and I'm grateful for this, and you start to shift that? People do shift around you. They will respond, and that's powerful. That's so powerful. And again, that's how we raise the vibration.
Absolutely.
Debbie's being grateful for her crazy dogs who are under exercise this morning, and so they're like at each other, and
I'm trying to have some
watching.
gratitude, and I know Emma appreciates a good ridgeback. So
Yeah.
thank God it's Emma and not someone else, because everyone would be going, okay, what's going on
What
over
are
there?
they doing back there?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I was as you know, I was researching a little bit on gratitude, so I thought this was kind of cool. It had it called for the 4 A's of gratitude. Have you guys heard this?
No.
Okay,
Let's hear it.
so the 4 A's. So number 1 is appreciation,
Mhm.
right? Number 2 is approval. Number 3 is admiration. And number
Mhm.
4 is attention. So I thought that was kind of cool. So the 4 A's of gratitude, and I hadn't heard about that before, but maybe that's a tool that we use.
Yeah,
Right?
the first one, appreciation, makes sense. I think that comes right to our head. When you think of
Yeah.
approval, that's more interesting. And what comes to my mind is that we know that whatever we're resisting, that's where our suffering is, when we're resisting. So maybe that's something about that there's things. Approval almost feels like too strong of a word, but at least dropping the resistance to things that are going on out there. It's like
Yeah.
the book that you were just sharing with me, Mel Robbins' new book, Let Them, the
Let
Let Them
let
theory.
them.
So
Oh
this
my God.
idea that there's
like-
shit out there, there's all kinds of shit, and we don't like
Yeah.
it all, but we don't have to fight it all. We don't have to
Yeah.
be in resistance to everything, because some things are outside of our control. So, we can let them, we can
Well,
allow it, we can
and having
not
approval
turn
for
ourselves.
ourselves, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right? Like that's the hardest thing sometimes, right?
Yeah.
We're
Oh
not
yeah.
giving
And
our
appreciation for ourselves.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
especially when things are rough, but you're doing your best. I'm always
That's it.
doing our best,
I'd add 2 more A's into that. I'd make it
Oh,
6, and I'd add in allowing, which we've touched on,
Yes.
and
Yes.
acceptance, which we've also touched on. Because
Yeah.
I think
yes.
sometimes a lot of unhappiness is caused because we wish something wasn't like it is. And you spend so much
Absolutely.
energy wishing something wasn't like it is. And it's the same with, I think, to bring us back
Yes.
to holiday season, because, this is topical,
Right.
is sometimes we wish other people were different from how they are. And we get
Yeah.
so cross that they don't do things the way we wish we want them to, that they do it this way and we don't like
Yeah.
it. And you end up just butting heads with people because you're just thinking, I wish they would just be different. And if you're
Right. I
able
can
to
fix this. I
accept
can fix
somebody,
it.
yeah, I can fix it. If you can
Yeah.
accept somebody for who they are, and to come back to our gratitude list, have a look and go, they irritate the living shit out of me.
Yeah.
So there's an opportunity for me to do some work on what they trigger in me, because
Yeah.
somebody who
Yes.
really riles you up is, it's always an opportunity for some introspection. And
Yes.
also, what do I appreciate about them, and
Mhm.
and what are 3 good qualities amongst
Yeah.
the 300 annoying qualities, and
Yeah.
how in this moment could I just accept them as they
Yeah.
are?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And there's magic in
Marci,
that
there's
because they
magic
will
in that.
respond. They will
Yes.
They will
respond
respond.
when
Yeah,
you don't have to even how you think, oh, I've just shifted my mindset. And suddenly you're like, whoa, they're like, they're not doing that thing. And so
correct.
there's
Yeah.
magic.
Yeah. I
There's
know.
magic.
My
Absolutely.
my husband's parents were married for 60, no, 50 or 60 years. I can't remember now. His
Mhm.
dad has passed, but we had videos made for them before his passing, and his mother said, like, the magic of our relationship happened when we just sat back and we just appreciated them the way they were, right?
Yes.
And they're just let them be who they are and stop this trying to
Mm.
change them, right? But you're in your 20s and 30s, you're like, oh, same thing, like, oh, I wish they just, or oh my God, or whatever. But as they grew together over time, it was she said she remembers almost exactly when that happened, but it was just pure magic then. And I think I'm in this situation where I have a bunch of people who are falling out of relationships right now, but I think that's sort of the key is are you able to have gratitude for that human, um, regardless of what's going on with them, right? And not try and change them and make them who you think they're supposed to be. And I just it keeps showing up for me right now for whatever reason, but I think that's the key.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
100%.
it's like unconditional love. It's unconditional gratitude. So it's like
Yes.
it's not I'm going to be grateful for them as so long as they do this, this, and this. It's
Yep.
Yes.
I'm going to be grateful no matter what. And then of course there's another gift in that because when you can have gratitude for these challenges beyond people, but challenges that show up, there are gifts. There's always gifts. The stuff comes to us to grow us, to transform us, to support us. And oftentimes it is brutal. It is messy. It is unpleasant. It is heartbreaking, but if we can stay with it, we can keep putting one foot in front of the other, if we can have a belief that I'm going to be grateful for this. Sometimes that's what you could do. You know what? This sucks right now. I hate this, but one day I will be grateful. One day I'll see the gift in this. Like that's a step. That's you've just made a shift and you've made an opening for that, whatever that is to drop in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the risk of taking us on a complete tangent,
Oh, let's go.
I would just add in something that sprung to mind as you were talking. When we talk about being able to accept and appreciate people as they are,
Mm-hmm.
if you're sitting in a space of kind of like wishing somebody was different, I think there's an invitation there often for people. And it's something I found with coaching clients and general observation, and something I have learned is often we wish somebody would do something different, but we don't tell them what that is. We then wish they would read our minds and understand what we want them to do. And
Yeah.
often it takes a great deal of courage to sit with somebody and say, actually, what I need from you is this, 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 and this.
Yeah.
And we don't do it, I think, sometimes because we fear being rejected by the person. And I would say, well, if you ask for a need to be met and somebody isn't prepared to do it, I don't know that that's somebody you would want to be spending time with.
Yes.
And also, for the most part, if you're in a balanced, healthy relationship with somebody, they will step up for you. But it's pointless kicking against, I wish they'd do that, and they don't do this, and they don't give me that, if you haven't voiced it.
Yeah.
And it's something I see time and time again. And I have a really lovely long-standing client, and she'll say to me, got a problem with my boss at work. She's driving me mad, and I'm not getting this, and I'm not getting that. And I said to her, well, have you asked? Well, sent an email asking for, I might need a bit of help with this at some point. And I said, but that's not a request.
Right.
You need to be more specific with that. And that's an invitation to really step up for yourself. So total aside, but it popped up with.
No, but it's really valid. And we're not necessarily
Yeah.
taught that as women, that like, okay, ask for what you need. We're like, fix everybody else, show up, don't ask, just be like, oh no, I'll take the crumbs. I'll literally eat the toast crust that my kids won't eat for breakfast. And so being empowered, been there, being empowered to ask for what you need is, boy, that's some big growth. And and it's fair, it's fair to the other person too, because now they know. And like you said, if the answer is no, or if you get pushed off, then now we can look at boundaries and we can talk about, well, is this for me? Because that's a thing too. And just as an aside, as we talk about this and letting people be who they are, clearly, if you are in an abusive situation, if how someone is, how they are being is hurting you, whether it's physical, emotional, or is just taking, you can let them be who they are somewhere else. Like there's times when we say, okay, no, that is not for me. That's boundaries. And that's, I don't want to say, oh, just
love them from a distance is what
exactly. Some things are just not acceptable. And that's another thing you can say, you know what, I deserve better than this. And you can create boundaries, let things go, get help if you need it. Because sometimes it's, even more challenging.
So Emma, what are you grateful for?
That's a great question.
I just put you on the spot, didn't I?
Well, I am very grateful to be here talking to you lovely ladies from across the world. I am grateful to be somebody who runs my own business, however hard that is, because I'm completely in control of my time, which I'm very grateful for. I am grateful to have got married this year. It's possibly been the most challenging thing to navigate.
Weddings.
Grateful for the lessons and the learnings, and grateful to, I'm nearly 44, so grateful to be coming up to my 44th birthday.
Yes. 44, good number. I love it.
Good number.
Yes.
Yeah. Grateful to be, I think grateful for lots of things. I could keep going with a list, but we'll be here for a whole other podcast of things that Emma's grateful for. The way my life is, I'm very grateful for what I have and who I have, and being able to see the opportunities when in moments that I might not be so grateful for.
Yes.
Excellent. Yeah. How about you, Deb? What are you grateful for?
Boy, I thought I could just ask the question. I didn't have to.
No, I know you got your list.
Well, I mentioned this on the podcast. I can't remember. They're all swimming around in my head right now. But I told Marci, and she hadn't heard this before, but there was a period of time when my health was really, really horrible. And there was a time when I wasn't sure I'd be able to walk again. And so I still, to this day, and this is 20 some years ago, I still, every day when I get up in the morning, I put one foot on the ground and I say thank, and I put the other foot on the ground and I say you. So for me, it's just being able to wake up every day. That feels like how I start my day. And so, I'm grateful for all of the things, for all of the family, for all of the learning. I'm grateful to have the knowledge to have changed my life and create the life that I want. And this is what I want. I feel like I have everything that I could have ever imagined. It's because I allowed myself to imagine this life that I live.
Amazing.
So yeah.
Yes,
So
that's profound.
that's a big one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Marci, your turn. You're
Yeah,
on.
Marci, you're up.
I'm having a super grateful December. And so for me, my son and my daughter-in-law are moving up. So right now they're in San Diego. We're in Northern California. So those of you who don't know California, like we can be in the same state and still be a 10-hour drive. So
Yeah.
so shout out to Patrick and Shawnee for moving back to the area. They're going to be just about a half an hour away. And I'm so thrilled. We're moving them at Christmas. That's going to be wonderful. So to have them, and then my son Herschel, who's just a light in my life, and my wonderful husband together. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to celebrating this Christmas with them, and yeah, my life is really good, and I'm grateful for this podcast. The podcast was a surprise, I think, to both of us. We didn't, we were working on our nonprofit, which is the producer of the podcast, and just hitting wall after wall. And the podcast has been an unexpected treasure for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I think that's how we're
I
gonna
so feel
end it.
uplifted right now.
I know.
Talking about gratitude uplifts you.
Yes. Yeah. And I think that's
Emma, we're both grateful for you. You've been just that's the thing about the podcast. We've met amazing people, and you are one of them. We're so grateful for that.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm grateful for you ladies as well, and to be able to connect and make friends. I think podcasting is so wonderful, as you could make friends all over the world.
That's right.
That we'd never ordinarily meet. Well, not say never.
Absolutely.
We don't know, but it's so unlikely that our paths would cross. And no, that's the magic of podcasting, I think.
That is the magic. And so for other people who want more Emma O'Brien in their life, tell them how they can reach you, how they can work with you wherever they are in the world.
So, yeah, I work online. So you can find me at emmaobriencoach.com. There is the website. I'm at Emma O'Brien Coach on Instagram. I'm pretty active there. And you can also listen to the Lemons and Pineapples podcast. You'll find that on the usual podcast platforms. It's also on YouTube now as well. So if you want to watch, and the YouTube ones don't get edited. So if a dog arrives or there's something happens, it's all in the video.
Yes, just embrace it all.
It's been a dog-themed podcast today as well. So I'm just grateful it's not mine misbehaving. Not that Debbie's are sitting quietly now. Not mine misbehaving.
Yeah, now they're tired.
Oh my gosh. Well, thanks, you guys. It's been a year.
Happy New Year, everybody. Make it
Happy New Year.
Yeah.
Thanks.
We'll see you in 2025 podcast.
And now for your core mental health break. This is your opportunity to take a moment to support your mental wellness, your peace of mind, your own ease and grace. Take some time every day to support your mental health. You deserve it, and it matters. Today we're going to do another affirmation, and today's affirmation is, I can do the things I desire to do. Repeat it with me. I can do the things I desire to do. I can do the things I desire to do. Thanks for listening to the Warrior Parent Podcast, which is a production of our nonprofit, Cour Experience, who also creates and distributes Cour tools. You can find us at courexperience.org. Make sure you join us next week for another informative conversation to help you and your family show up mindfully, purposefully, and joyfully with each other and in your community.
Our Cour Tools platform consists of a number of proven tools and techniques that are designed to reduce stress, anxiety, and overwhelm in spite of what's going on in your world. We want to thank Samuel Hale, LLC, for sponsoring this podcast. Technical and marketing support comes from Inspire Your Brand. Our podcast editor is Justin Beeden. Opinions expressed by guests do not necessarily reflect those of the hosts, the producers, or the financial supporters. I'm Debbie DiManno.
And I'm Marci Mitchell. Thanks for listening. If you resonate with the idea of creating a community to help support kids and families, won't you join us by following the podcast and sharing this episode? You can even write a review. It truly does take a village, and we appreciate you.